So in this video, I'm going to be reviewing the QLife Racer electric bike, which is QLife step-over e-bike with a competitive range and an affordable price that should appeal to many riders. I'm going to go over the assembly process and go in-depth on the features and specs, do an acceleration test, a braking test, a hill climb test, and a review on how it rides. So let's check it out. The Racer comes in a standard bicycle shipping box, but is pretty heavy, so make sure to be careful when moving, and if possible, have someone help you move it. After opening, the bike was assembled about 85%. All you have to do is remove all the packing foam and zip ties, install the front wheel, handlebars, seat, front light, and the pedals. Included in the box were the necessary tools and instruction manual. The whole process only took me about 20 minutes, with most of my time being spent cutting off the zip ties, and installing the front wheel, and aligning the front brake caliper. This is a pretty easy bike to put together, with the hardest part being aligning the front caliper, but most people should be able to put it together pretty easily. When I went through the bike, all the bolts were tight, and it powered up no problem. So the Racer is powered by a 500 watt brushless rear hub motor with a peak output of 1000 watts, and a removable 48 volt 10.4 amp hour lithium ion battery that's UL 2849 certified and has a claim range up to 40 miles using the throttle and 55 miles in pedal assist. The bike also comes with mechanical disc brakes with 160mm rotors both in the front and in the rear. The wheels are 27.5 inch wheels that come with hybrid style tires with little knobbies and a 2.1 inch width and Schrader tubes. And to help out with ride comfort, there's also a suspension fork with 100mm of travel and a seat with a lot of padding. It also comes with a Shimano Tourney 21-speed drivetrain with a 28-tooth cassette. The dashboard has a very simple and clean display design that shows your battery level, assist level, speed, and odometer. The throttle is a thumb-style throttle, and what's really cool about it is after holding it for about 7 to 8 seconds, it activates a cruise control. The Racer has an overall length of 66 inches, a wheelbase of 39.5 inches, a handlebar height from the ground of 42.5 inches, a handlebar width of 26.25 inches, a minimum seat height of 31 inches, a maximum seat height of 37.5 inches, a standover height of 30.5 inches, a reach of 15 inches, and has a load capacity of 350 pounds. And the Racer retails for a mind-boggling $470 with free shipping. But if you don't need the big motor, big battery, and 28 mile/hour top speed, you can get the Racer 26-inch wheels and a 350 watt motor for a grand total of $390 sent to your house. Okay, here we go. We're actually testing the speedometer accuracy of the Racer e-bike, and we're comparing it to my GPS speedometer app on my iPhone. First is level 1, which on the bike says 9.8 miles per hour. Now it's 10, and it's going between 9 and 10 on the app, so that is 100% correct. So next is speed level 2, which we're doing 13.5 miles per hour, 13.6. Speedometer says 13 on the app. That one is correct as well. Okay, now we're on speed level 3, which is 17.6 on the bike, 17 on the speedometer app. Perfect. Now we're doing speed level 4, which is at 21.3 miles per hour. It says it's going between 20 and 21 in the speedometer app. It's close. I'd say it's off by half mile per hour or so. And of course, last but certainly not least, speed level 4 says 28.2, 28.5, says 27 on the speedometer, and it's off by about 1 mile per hour. Woo! Slow down for the stop sign. Next, I want to check the acceleration to the top speed of 28 miles per hour using only the throttle. Here's how it went. Now we're going to do the acceleration test to the top speed of 28 miles per hour using only the throttle, no pedaling. Here we go. Ready and go. 10, 15, 20, 25, Okay. Okay, 28. Whew. So for the final results, the racer went 0 to 10 miles per hour in 3.6 seconds, 0 to 15 in 5.3 seconds, 0 to 20 in 7.6 seconds, 0 to 25 in 12.4 seconds, and to the top speed of 28 in 26.5 seconds. So this bike actually accelerates very strong up to 20 miles per hour, then starts to lose a little steam to 25, and then has a really hard time getting to 28. But overall, I was super impressed with how powerful and smooth it was. Okay, we're doing the hill climb test on the QLife Racer. So QLife says that the racer can do up to a 15% gradient. Luckily enough, this hill we're going up right now is about a 14 to 15%, which works out perfect. I'm only using the throttle right now because I'm just curious if we can go up using only the throttle. And we're going 12.5 miles per hour. And it's doing pretty good. We're at 11 miles per hour. 10.5 miles per hour. Wow, that was easy. Okay, that was super easy. So, make sure I don't get ran over. Okay. For the next test, I want to test out the braking distance from 3 different speeds. First was from 8 miles per hour, which is the legal bike speed limit on the beach boardwalk, which the bike did in a comically short 5 feet. Next is from 17 miles an hour, which is a pretty good cruising speed when pedaling, which the bike did in 14 feet. And last, I did a braking test from the top speed of 28 miles per hour, which the bike did in 33 feet. Now I do have to say, I was pleasantly surprised with the braking power of the racer. These brakes aren't very big, and they aren't the most powerful, but they do work pretty well with zero drama when stopping. And the last test, and probably the most important one, is the ride comfort test, where I took the racer on an extended ride from the mountains of beautiful East San Diego to the city. So for this ride, I started in the mountain town of Alpine and worked my way down into Flint Springs, which isn't a very big community, but it makes sense for a nice easy ride next to the Pack Freeway. Straight away in the ride, I had my first big climb, where the grade was pretty steep and about a half mile long. Since I already tested the climbing with the throttle earlier, I decided to pedal up this hill, which in level 4, the racer absolutely crushed the climb with ease. While going through this area, I really fell in love with the cruise control function of the racer. My intention when I started the ride was to pedal the whole ride, but once I engaged the cruise control for the first time, I decided to enjoy not pedaling and just let the bike do all the work. After going through Flint Springs, I entered Lakeside, California, which is famous for its rodeo, and lucky for me, there's no rodeo this day, so traffic was minimal. By this point, I'd ridden over 12 miles, and the bike was very comfortable and relaxing to ride. I decided I didn't want to stay on the main road anymore, so I took some side roads to minimize car traffic, and so I could enjoy the calm of riding. And since I was almost done with my ride, I decided it'd be fun to at least to take the racer on a dirt path just to get a little dirty and to see how well the knobby tires worked. And I'm happy to report that the dirt paths are really easy to navigate with the tires having good grip on these types of trails. So during this ride, I rode a little more than 19 miles, and I was seated for a little bit over an hour. And I have to say that this bike is insanely comfortable. It pedals really well, and it's just a delight to ride. And this type of ride is really where this bike shines, just cruising at normal speeds with the wind blowing in your face, and you just being able to enjoy your surroundings. And the best feature by far is the cruise control. It works so well and made cruising on this day so easy and fun. It makes me wonder why more e-bikes don't have this feature. And just in case you're curious, I used up about half the battery, with about 25% of the ride was me pedaling and 75% of the time using only the throttle. The only thing which the bike had was a slightly longer seat post, so I could raise the seat a tiny bit higher. It's not a deal breaker though, and it's easily fixed by purchasing a longer seat post. So far through my extensive testing, the racer has held up really well to daily use. The 500 watt brushless motor is almost silent, and is extremely smooth and provides a decent amount of power. It's able to cruise around easily and is very comfortable. Both the seat and fork do a wonderful job in keeping the ride calm and smooth. I did spend most of my time using the throttle, but I can confirm that this bike does in fact pedal really well and it's pretty efficient. With its 21-speed drivetrain, the racer is able to go pretty fast, easily hitting 20 miles per hour pedaling on the flat, but it feels more at home around 21 to 22 miles per hour. And since this bike's designed for road riding, other than smoothness and comfort, one of the most important features to me is range. So QLife claims that the bike has a throttle range of 40 miles, and 55 miles of range when using pedal assist. And so far in all of my testing, this bike has averaged between 32 and 34 miles per charge when only using the throttle. And something to keep in mind though, is I typically rode at speeds at about 22 miles per hour, so I wasn't riding efficiently. So I feel that 40 miles is possible using only the throttle if you're much lighter than me and you're riding in the right conditions. And I also think that 55 miles is possible if you're using pedal assist only. And while this bike is very smooth, fun, has a lot of power, and is comfortable, its biggest selling points are affordability and value. The amount of features this bike has for $470 is mind-boggling. It has a smooth motor, comfortable seat, a removable battery, 21 speeds, cruise control, a headlight, and front suspension. And it's pretty impressive the features this bike has considering the price. But if I had to make one change on the bike, it's that I would get rid of the front suspension fork and replace it with a better made solid fork. It's a budget fork, and it feels like it. Don't get me wrong, it does a pretty good job on roads, but I'd much rather have a nice fork with no suspension instead of a budget suspension fork. Especially if I'm be riding only on roads, since the padded seat and knobby tires do a really good job of muting out vibrations. So in conclusion, this is one of the best deals on an e-bike I've ever seen. And if you're looking for a comfortable e-bike that doesn't break the bank, you should check it out. But if you have any questions or own a racer yourself and want to share your experience, please leave them in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great one.